Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this lovely warm June day. Are you loving the heat or are you hating the heat? I'm definitely seeing two opinions circling around in my social and work life as well. Some people can't get enough of it. Some people can't wait for it to be over. So let me know in the chat which camp you're in. Just want to say good morning. Welcome back to the Retail Bulletin. Another event delivering for you today. We haven't seen you for a couple of months, so good to have you back. Just a reminder of what's coming up this year as well, before we jump into this morning's session proper. We've got tons going on at the moment. So the big thing we really want to talk about and plug this morning, shamelessly plug, is our People in Retail Awards. It's back after a long hiatus of many years. New and improved, looking fabulous, all about celebrating the retail heroes front and center, putting people at the real center of the awards. It's shaping up to be a fantastic night, and it's on September the 21st in London. You can get details on the Retail Bulletin website, but there are still tables available. But the award entries, I believe, are now closed, but the tables are still available on the night as well. So it's going to be a fabulous night. We've actually got the Retail HR conference that same day as well. So you could come hang out with us for the whole day and then hang out with us in the night if you want. Again, all live. And again, details of that are on the Retail Bulletin website. It's also a good reminder that we'll do a live conference, the Retail Conference, on November the 14th in a central London venue. And we've still got some digital events coming up next month as well. And then finishing our year on December the 6th, our customer experience event, which will be digital as well. So a real mix in there, lots of live, lots of virtual, and importantly, lots of great content. This morning's session is about that goal that we all hold of achieving a seamless omnichannel customer journey. And I've got some brilliant panelists to talk to you soon as well. I would like to remind you that you are important to us, and this is your webinar to get what details you want from it and information. So use that Q&A button. I'm not quite sure where it is on your device, but it's somewhere, top, bottom, or side of the screen. You will find the Q&A button. Use that to talk to me. You might have a individual question for one of these wonderful panelists, or you might have a general question, and I will assimilate it and moderate it accordingly. We always promise on the Retail Bulletin that we answer every question, and anything that gets asked gets answered. So I'm going to introduce our panelists, if I may, get them to tell you a little bit about themselves, and then we can kick into the session proper. So firstly, Jackson, hello. Tell us about you, please.
Morning, everyone. So as Darren says there, hey guys, my name is Jackson Versitano. I'm the retail regional manager at Lightspeed Commerce. So at Lightspeed, our job is to help retailers behind the scenes manage their businesses so that they have more time to spend with their customers. So I've been in the industry for about 10 years myself, with 5 years at Lightspeed, ensuring that we can help retailers every day.
Good to have you here, sir. And thank you for supporting the Retail Bulletin today as well. I know that Lightspeed are offering their support and sponsorship for the event, and really appreciate that. We can't do it without you, basically. So thank you for that. It's much appreciated. Ed, tell us about you, sir.
Morning all. Ed Duggan. I'm the Finance and Commercial Director for Fishpools. I've been in retail for a long time. I'm not going to put a number on it. Started with Tesco's a long time ago, Debenhams, Furniture Village, and now Fishpools. Ostensibly a finance person, but really a commercial person. So I'm slightly schizophrenic at times.
Okay, good. Well, it's great to have you here as well, Ed. Thank you for joining us and giving us your time this morning, and look forward to hearing from you. And Anouk, last but not least, hello, who are you?
Hello, lovely to be here again. So I am the e-commerce manager and senior e-business specialist at JDE Peets in the Netherlands. So what we do is coffee and tea. You may know us from brands like Douwe, Egberts and Loor, but also, of course, Pickwick, Mighty Leaf, your Kenkus, White Oaks Coffee, all those brands belong to our portfolio. And yeah, we are the only pure player coffee that's actually available in every country in the world, which we're very proud of. So over 100 markets, you can find local and global brands. And we also have a YouTube direct channel, for example, the coffee you drink at Pret, you know, those are ours. So it's very likely at least once a week, someone in the UK drinks a cup of coffee or tea from one of our brands, which we're very proud of. And for me, this is my 15th year in digital e-commerce. I was at the founding stage of this whole industry back in the day at Lagardère Media, where we started our own price comparison and PPC channels. And then throughout my career, moved to the brand side, where I first worked in DIY and also the furniture industry. But eventually moved to automotive, and then 2 years ago made the switch to move back to my native country, the Netherlands, to be closer to family. And I joined the Dutchest company I could find, which is Jacobs Douwe Birds. Obviously, we've been around since the year 1753, so we're celebrating 270 years of business this year. So we like to think we know a little bit about staying alive in turbulent times.
Absolutely, yeah. I think your heritage could speak for itself there as a business for sure. And tea and coffee, you know, it's everything, right? So absolutely, I'm sure you're reaching millions of very grateful consumers on a daily basis. So I'm sat here with a very enjoyable coffee right now. I'm not sure whether it's one of yours, but it's delicious.
It be one of mine.
This is our panel, everybody. So I'm sure you agree. It's a great lineup. I'm Darren. You probably know me if you're a regular to these events. I do virtual and live events with the Retail Bulletin, and I'm very grateful to them for inviting me back. I'm the global head of leasing at Impress. So Impress is Europe's biggest orthodontics brand. We are rolling out at pace. We're headquartered in Barcelona, and we recently acquired a business in the US last year as well. So we're now trading in 8 markets. And we have a mixture of flagships, which is the side of the business that I work on, opening our own clinics. And we also run some partnerships as well. We are playing our part in that kind of revitalization of the high street, taking ex-retail spaces, ex-hospitality spaces, and that med tail, as it's being sort of cornered now as a phrase, medical retail, is a really growing sector. And so we're really excited to play our part in that as well. But amongst all that, I come and do these lovely events as well, and hang out with Karen and the team, and get to meet great panelists like this. We're going to kick off because I don't want to hear my voice anymore. I want to hear from these wonderful panelists. So, Jackson, good morning again. Thank you again for joining us, and to Lightspeed for their support. Let's get going. What insights can retailers get on their customers to be able to keep reacting to that sort of ever-changing, fast retail world?
Cool. So it might sound simple, but it's something around the lines of having the right products at the right time for the right customer. Now, what we can do is we give simple insights. I think for everyone at the moment, money is top of mind. So we need to figure out how we can make that £1 go a lot further. So what we can provide is certain insights around spending, purchasing power, buying behaviors from the consumer level, and then from the retailers level, things like the sell-through rates, obviously very important, profits and margins, just understanding different purchasing between your suppliers. This is just going to go a lot further. We need to make smarter decisions with our purchasing, and this is going to help us go a lot further with our business.
You're muted, Darren.
You got me. I muted myself because there was some background noise. I'm normally the one going like that. They got me. Okay, I owe myself a £5. When we talk about being smarter with some of those purchasing decisions, Jackson, can you give an example of that? What could be, one example of where someone could look at an opportunity in that area, for example?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm using a little bit of a biased view here, but within the Lightspeed system, what you're able to see up front is all the purchases from, let's say you, Darren, let's use you for an example. Let's say Darren comes in and he buys 2 black t-shirts every 6 months from our system. Now, as the retailer, they want to be able to see how many other people are doing this, how popular this t-shirt is, how quickly it moves off the shelf. These types of things are all in a back office type setup for the retailer, and they're able to have an understanding of how quickly that moves, who they're purchasing it from. So let's say we purchase it from 2 or 3 different people. Where are we making the most money back from this? So it gives you all those insights to be able to make that £1 go a little bit further every single time.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Audience, a reminder to use the Q&A. So if you're hearing anything that Jackson's saying that you want to clarify or question on further, we're here for you. So make sure you use that Q&A button as the session continues, and we'll happily answer your questions. Thanks for that, sir. Take a sip of something nice, and we'll be back to you shortly as well. Ed, good morning. Thanks again for joining us. Considerations for that kind of online versus offline journey. Retailers are really struggling with it at the moment, in terms of some have large estates, paying some of those high rent bills and business taxes, the dreaded business rates, of course, and then others are purely online as well. What are the considerations for that online offline journey for retailers?
I think there's probably a step before that consideration where you talked about the physical infrastructure. I think it's important to work out what your touch points with your customer need to be, what their journey would be like. Their customer journey is going to vary according to what type of market you're in. I'm in furniture, have been for a while, which tends to be a much longer consideration journey. And through that journey, what the customer wants and needs from us changes. And we're a store and online, and the online bit serves one purpose, and for some people they don't want that still. So it's really horses for courses, understanding your customer, understanding what they need at all different types of customer, different parts of the journey, and making sure that you give that to them when they need it, both online or in store as well, and blending the two together. Your model might suggest you don't need stores. Yeah, and if you go through that thought process first, you don't sign up for 10-15-year leases for upward only rent when you don't need them.
Yeah, it is a real interesting evolution happening on the high street right now, and I've always been an advocate of the high street and physical shops. I'm a retailer by trade as well, but it is that kind of ongoing consideration of how you get the best out of each, right? And that blend that you talked about, I think, is so important, and I think is probably the bit still not executed that well in some cases.
Yeah, often it depends if you are playing catch up as a legacy physical retailer, trying to work out how you make the most of the online opportunity without having just to create a parallel separate business, because then that causes all sorts of trouble. You have to integrate it seamlessly, and we'll talk later on perhaps about what gets in the way, what causes friction. One of the things is you just set up a parallel business which you call your online business, then you've got real problems.
I remember the days, and it probably still exists, I think, where there was a retail director that was all about the bricks, and then there was an online director that was all about the clicks, and they didn't really talk to each other. They were simply, that was their channel, their silo, and that was the way it worked. And I still think there are some structures like that out there as well. So one to discover. Thank you, sir. Interesting kickoff. Take a sip of something and I'll come back to you soon. Anouk, you've been sat there patiently waiting with your fabulous background actually there. It's very funky. What is it? Is it one of your brands?
Yes, Lord. We call this the swirl of flavor.
Now, yeah. Got it.
The beautiful explosion of flavor you get when you drink local coffee. No branding here.
Got it. Lovely plug. It works well for a background as well, so it's doubling up for you there. You heard Ed mention that word friction, and that gets mentioned a lot. friction versus reward is a metric. I sense that's talked about a lot, certainly all over LinkedIn and industry watchers and so on. What does customer friction actually mean? Because some people, I'm sure, and I'm not sure I understand what it always means. What does it mean and why is it important? I think it's what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah, it's quite a bit of a buzzword. It's made a comeback. I think we were talking about this 5 years ago, and then COVID happened and we were talking about other stuff. And now we're talking about this again. And I think that's because technology is going really rapid right now, especially with like smart technology, AI. So we're finding more convenient solutions to answer customer queries. And therefore, this has become a hot topic again. But in theory, everything that causes you friction in your everyday life is exactly how you need to see it, right? In customer experience. Because even if it's like struggling to put on your socks after you've had a shower, or literally moving a heavy cabinet when you're trying to reorganize your home, that's friction. You want those things to be easier. And for the customer, it's exactly the same, because we're always, as brands, retailers, technology partners, we're always looking at like this very efficient and seamless and consistent customer experience we're trying to offer. But what we are sometimes forgetting is that it also needs to be outside in, both helpful, enjoyable, and stress-free for our customers. And that's, I think, the definition of customer friction. There will be several sticking points in any business that will prevent a customer from either making a buying decision or filling out a form request. Something that prevents him from going into that conversion flow, so to speak, is what we call customer friction.
And for example, we're using an app and we're trying to transact and the app is either crashing or it's clunky. That's friction.
That's friction.
Anything that disrupts the experience, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. Or someone who's in your checkout and then all of a sudden notices these extraordinary high shipping costs that he didn't expect. That's friction. Could be post-purchase as well. Let's not forget that once a buying decision has been made, you botch up an order and then you're not available by phone. That's friction, right? All these touch points are actually what cause friction to our customers. At JDE, we're quite specific about these. We identify 7 specific touch points, and those are duration, identity, memory, consistency, visibility, empowerment, and proactiveness. Wow,
who's just captured that list? So we might ask Anouk to stick that in the chat when she has a little break next as well. So but there's some real key words there as well. So essentially, anything that disrupts the experience or disrupts the transaction or makes someone feel frustrated, as simple as that, that's pure friction.
Yes, and we have to be aware of this, because all our customers nowadays have been conditioned by these amazing brands like your Amazons of today that we, unfortunately, even the big brands like us just cannot match that kind of automated experience. But our customers expect that level, right, from all of us, also your barber on the corner.
It's like going to the supermarket and finding out you haven't got £1 for the trolley.
Yeah, so annoying.
Really annoying. And then you have
friction.
To go and see someone, take some money out of the cash point, get the money changed into coins. Yeah, very annoying. There's a good example of friction. So yeah, it's basically happened to us all every day, right? So here's the bit just to finish off before I go back to Jackson. Why aren't retailers doing more about the friction that exists inside their channels? What would stop them doing it?
We think we know it all, right? And we don't go back to the drawing board and keep testing our own existing journeys. That's sometimes what we don't do. We build stuff, it works, we've tested it then, and then we sort of leave it on to let its own life. And we don't necessarily always go back to evaluate and improve. And I think that's something we could all be a little bit better at.
Darren,
yeah, it's interesting.
There's a traditional equivalent to that, which is how many retailers who enter their stores through the staff entrance walk the walk through the front door like their customers do. So I think the complacency that Anouk referred to isn't a new thing. It's just a slightly digitized version of what we've always experienced in average retail.
Getting the boardroom out onto the floor, absolutely. I'll tell you a good example of that, Ed, actually. I don't know him, so I've got no personal vested interest in saying this, but one thing I've really noticed about the reasonably new CEO of M&S, Stuart Mackin, is how much he posts from the floor. And so how much content, he shares that within spending time on the shop floors with the shop teams, and really seems to be out there in the environment. And I think it's such an positive and important thing for leadership of businesses to do. And it's no coincidence that M&S does seem to be on the ascendancy as well. So yeah, I agree with you. Get yourselves out there. Jackson, I'm going to come back to you. Anything to add on this friction piece before I explore something else with you?
Yeah, I think and the way that Anouk explains it is very, very important. You have to think about it from like your own perspective as well. So it's always you living that in your everyday life, and you think about how a retailer is going to confront these things, or a consumer, so to speak. So yeah, you need to trace it back to your everyday, and you talk about the shopping trolley and things like this. It's super, super important. So yeah, totally agree with everything said there.
Tell me then, sir, when we think digitally, so we've had a bit of a chat about physical versus digital as well, but if I can just focus you in digital at the moment, one of the issues retailers have is how they then engage an audience, but only through digital. So how do they do that? Got lots of retailers on this morning. How would you advise retailers to engage with customers in digital? So
I think I'm in a very fortunate position to have seeing how thousands of retailers actually do it themselves. So there's no biased opinions there. Like, we have thousands of retailers that show us all their digital transformations and how they attract or appeal to their customers. So from our opinion, it's around the personalized and tailored experience. So, a small thing can go a long way. So we use the analogy around like our personal experiences. Something as simple again as a birthday email that comes across to me. I get, let's say, 3 of these a year, and I get one that's 1 week out for my birthday that's 20% off. I get one that's 1 day out for my birthday that's also 10% off, and then maybe the big dance on my birthday, I get 40% off the product line that I love. The retailer knows me, and 9 times out of 10 I'm probably going to purchase something there. So it's about understanding your customer base and also portraying your story. So I guess given how competitive everything is in the digital world right now, you need to tell your story. You need to be very unique in that presence, so that you can attract your type of audience. So yeah, just the understanding of your story, your translation is what we want on a digital platform, and then that portrays out to your base.
It's a good shout, and I think that story piece is so important, but also, like you said, making people feel like we understand you. From us as the business, the brand, to a customer, we understand you, or we know you, or we send you little surprise and delight moments that actually feel meaningful, rather than blanket the standard email that everybody gets en masse. How often, to open this a bit further, how often should we be engaging, communicating with our customers? I think sometimes, how do we know when it's too much? So I've definitely personally unsubscribed because it just becomes too much, like daily. What's the balance? That's a really hard one to get right.
Yeah, look, likewise. I probably unsubscribe from something every second day. But there's no sweet spot for this. It's understanding your audience. So if you're an apparel company, you might find that Darren buys that black t-shirt every 3 to 6 months. So now we understand your buying behavior. If we're talking about Anouk in the coffee industry, coffee and tea industry, people drink this every single day. So it might be the Friday per cup that I need to go and get my free coffee today, and then maybe because I'm very happy with the business, I'll go back there and I'll buy it again. So these types of things that there's no certain sweet spot. Every retail industry or every retailer will probably have a different idea on this, but it's important that they understand their target market.
Got it. Okay, thank you, sir. Take a sip of something. If you have any questions for Jackson or any of our panelists, don't forget to use our Q&A. Also, a reminder, we are recording this session as well. So if you're enjoying what you're hearing so far, the link will be sent out later on. It'll be available via LinkedIn and the Retail Bulletin website, and you'll be able to share it with your colleagues. Also, if you'd like to know more from Jackson, particularly in the team at Lightspeed, let us know at the Retail Bulletin and we can put you in touch. Ed, I'm going to come back to you if I may, please. I want to go back to this friction word because it keeps popping into my head. Is there something that causes customer journey friction in the first place? Is there something something you can share with our audience to say this is the cause, and if you avoid this, you could avoid friction, or is it not that simple?
Yeah, I think if you talk to your people within your business, you'll find out those things which are clunky, ineffective, inefficient, way quicker than almost any other method. Because we're a people organization. We serve the customers. We get their feedback constantly, and one of the least tapped into areas is the human beings we employ and who talk to customers every day. So there's the first thing, and that's easy. You can just go and do that as soon as this conference is finished. Go and walk your business. I think that some of them, when you, Anouk, I think said, look, go through the journey and understand what it is the customer wants at each stage of the journey, and do it yourself. Shop your shop online and in store, and it will become obvious. Look at what other people do. I mean, the benefit of online is that you can quite transparently see what everyone else is up to. Put those hard miles in and benchmark yourself against what everyone else's offer is. But don't try and be all things to all people, because what works for one person, one retailer, won't work for the other. It might be cost effective for some, but not others. And if you chase trying to be all things to all people, you'll probably fail. Choose that which suits your customer and your brand.
It's a really good point, actually, that the digital world just means that we have all of this competitor information at our fingertips. You took me back to my, showing my age here now, Radio Rentals days when I was the store manager.
Surely not, Darren.
Late 80s, early 90s, believe it or not. And we used to do comp shops because obviously electrical retail was super competitive. It'd take a day of walking around competitors' stores. No such thing as a mobile phone or an internet in those days. So it is incredible how much rich information we have at our fingertips now. And I guess even though it's there, our retailers using it to their best advantage.
Yeah, I think some of that, so that's generally available market information. But then to Jackson's point, understanding what is your paid social, your PPC, what's your SEO stats, what are they all telling you about how people are using your online experience and for what purpose? And then you can start to refine how that works and how that is managed. Most SMEs will struggle to have that expertise internally. So they'll need to partner with someone who can help bring that expertise to them. That's the quickest, most cost-effective way to do that.
Got it. Thank you, sir. Anouk, I think everyone watching today, would hopefully have an objective of wanting to ultimately deliver a seamless omni-channel journey. But some people might not understand how to get there. What are the key kind of contact touch points that brands should be aware of or should be using to enable them to deliver that end result?
Yeah, so what we've been talking about so far is especially quantitative data, stats, trends. What are your figures telling you? And I first and foremost recommend everybody who hasn't got it yet to get some sort of dashboard together, and don't keep that to your digital or e-commerce team. Share it with your retail departments, your store managers on local level, but also with your customer service department. Understand as a complete business what your data is telling you, and add some context to some of these figures through quantitative data. And that's what we do with our touchpoint strategy. So touchpoint is basically anything that can happen in store, online, but also, for example, Facebook ads, where you have a certain interaction with a customer. So every single interaction in your journey for your specific brand, store, whatever, that's a customer touchpoint. This could be your call center, right? Picking up the phone. It could be a live chat you have on your website function. Those are touch points. But also your testimonials and reviews, right? On review sites, those are touch points. There's a reason someone leaves a review. Any surveys or NPS ratings and things you put out, so pure quantitative data there, but also your newsletter subscriptions, right? They're all touch points. And what we do is we put them all in a huge list in Excel, very old-fashioned way of doing things. And then we apply the Duggan Fishpool strategy by mystery shopping, which is basically what's been around for many, many years. But we ask certain non-customers to just go through a few questions we're asking. Most of them is place an order, or try and make a return. Simple questions. And we see for different generations and different customer groups how easy it is to do that. In that session, we're very friendly. We give them a little treat for helping us that day. And during these user tests, which we do on a yearly basis, we actually get a lot of feedback on our tools. We also realize that some of the things we learned from heat maps and buttons we designed on the website just aren't really that intuitive. So we make changes in our UX UI based on these user tests, but we most and foremost add a ranking to all of our touch points from 1 to 5. So in this beautiful Excel sheet, which we share with everybody listening in on these calls with customers, we rank our product demo on a 1 to 5. What 5 is, it's not intuitive, we need to improve. And 1 is, it works pretty well, customer could find it easily, right? And they liked using it. For example, it did what it said in the manual. Then what we do is we check our quantitative data. This could be small companies or Google Analytics, or if you have a data partner, you can have them help you with. And we check the traffic and interactions and sessions and click-throughs, everything for those specific touch points, which we measure. We measure the events. And then we give those a score of 1 to 5 as well. So the ones people interact the most with, the most traffic or lowest conversion rates, we give them a 5. And the ones that are pretty well, or they're just really low traffic, we rank them a little bit lower. And it gives a final score from 1 to 10, right? 5 plus 5 is 10. Everybody that ranks at 10, you should have fixed yesterday. You probably already knew it wasn't working very well. Everything that ranks between a 6 and an 8 is something we're going to start looking at, and we'll immediately start some sort of miniature project group or make someone responsible to reevaluating the flow. Everything that scores under a 5 is lower priority, and it moves to the backlog for improvement. So I think anybody could do this with their own touch points specific to their business. In automotive, it will be a test drive and a quote form, in store visits, it will maybe be a book a slot or book a specific, make an appointment, anything, a book tickets for an event. You can apply this to any business. And it basically allows us all to constantly reevaluate the business. Why we do this is because every customer has a different experience with the same interaction points, and that's because they're never the same person. So even though we do coffee and tea, I might be a Gen Z person who does everything via live chat because at the same time I'm doing something else on the side and I don't want to consume my day with a phone call anymore. Or I might be literally a 50-year-old facility manager for a big education group, and my coffee machine is broken on the 5th floor and I need someone to fix it yesterday, right? So very concrete problems versus very overall, what coffee would I like, orientation problems. And we deal with all of them through these use tests on customer touchpoints.
Got it. I'm interested to unpack this survey part a little bit as well. And this is really, I'm going to make it a general panel question, if I may. Do consumers still want to do surveys? Because I find sometimes that you need to be moved really one way or the other to do a survey. So you're either really impressed and you just really want to share, well done, or you're really fed up, shall we say, to be polite, early in the morning, and you want to let the retailer know. What's our view on surveys, Jackson? Do people want to do them?
It is a tough question. You're spot on. I'm either very angry, I'm very happy, but I think in general, people not very likely want to do this. But if we can provide incentive for them to do small things like this, it helps your business grow a lot. It's super important to get feedback. I think we know in any industry it's super important that we can get feedback. So if we can get this from our customers, a simple gesture, it would be go a very long way.
Ed, what do you think?
Yeah, I think you can incentivize customers to participate. You do run the risk of having professional questionnaire filler-inners. So you've got to be aware of it, and it's never the be all and end all. It's an indication of something you need to look at, and then again, you try it yourself. You talk to people who've, what we've started doing is picking the phone up to customers occasionally. What worked, what didn't work. It's a bit old school. I think there is, as a bricks and mortar and online retailer, we need to be careful we don't default to online being the answer to everything. And there are some pretty simple, quick, cheap methods of getting feedback, which you shouldn't rule out.
Got it. Anouk, what's your view on the survey piece?
Yeah, there's a big
you put
difference.
the idea in my head to ask the question.
Yeah, definitely. No, there's a big difference between a full-on survey with like 20 questions you need to fill out, including age and location, versus a quick feedback button somewhere. Like, you all know that when you're buying something in the average web store, within a week's time, you'll have 25 emails for all your online purchases. Like, hey, give us a star rating. Please tell us what you think. Those, you'll have like 5 or 6. I delete all of them that don't have a personal header, right? Because that's a basic customization. If you can't do that, then you don't know me, didn't think about it. So everything that's just like, hey, please leave us a review, I delete. But everything that says like something way more personal, from hello Anouk, we noticed you purchased it, would you like to help improve our experience? Those ones I answer. And you make use of a very basic FOMO principle, right? If you feel like a journey hasn't ended, you can put in a survey as a, hey Anouk, one more step to complete your coffee journey. And then I think it's part of my purchase journey, and I actually leave my opinion because I immediately get some loyalty points in my account to get me kick-started, right? But there's a few more clever ways to do this on a more personal level. I do highly recommend you do that. And for retail, is the big green smiley button you can tap, just to count likes. It's as simple as that. A lot of people do those, and they're quite happy to be asked about their opinion because it shows that as a brand you care. So you can definitely do it, but do know that this market is so incredibly crowded. You don't want to be one of many by offering a very standardized MailChimp template. It really doesn't work anymore. People see through that. We're too used to it.
Got it. Okay.
I think, Darren, sorry, there's also the customer that doesn't purchase with you is as important as the one who does, or more important in many ways. So understanding their engagement with your online, dwell time on your site, engagement rate, how deep they go into your website, all of those are indications that you've structured things in a way that is engaging and it's tapping into the right things for that customer. So they're little metrics that your partner agency can help you understand how people are navigating your site.
Got it. Thank you, Ed. The questions have started coming in. So I'm going to read one out verbatim if I can. This is from Carl at Fox Intelligence. Thank you, Carl, for your question. Right, here we go. So friction also means barriers. So do you have examples of how to audit the lead to cash for customer and the internal barriers? In other words, work on your business, not just in your business. And that's from Carl at Fox Intelligence. I'll read it one more time. Friction also means barriers. So do you have examples of how to audit the lead to cash for customer and the internal barriers? Work on your business, not just in your business. Any panelists want to pick that one up?
Yeah, I'll have a go at that in the least specific way that you could possibly imagine. I think, listen, it depends where you are in terms of resource and finances for your business. Sometimes you have to have measures before you can take steps. However, if you're doing the right things that look at where friction is in your business, sometimes just fix them without a business case, because that's the right thing to do. The payback will naturally come. What's clear is that if you don't fix the frictions, you're just going to go into a downward spiral. So sometimes everything can't be measured, right? If it's the right thing to do and you can quickly and easily fix things, just do it.
Okay. And retailers, the benefit of the way that retail is and the speed at which it moves is that if a retailer can be agile, they can make things happen fast as well, right?
Precisely.
So
yeah.
it doesn't have to be decision or strategy by committee. Actions can be taken in a matter of hours. So
it's always been one of the beauties of retail, is that you can make a change today and you can see it manifest in your business tomorrow, and that still holds.
Yeah, maybe to add to that, there is a very easy way to maybe from something as specific as a lead to cash. Like at JDE Pete's, obviously we have the luxury of using Salesforce CRM, so we can measure pretty much everything. But there is, for smaller businesses and businesses that struggle with that, a very easy way to just put certain KPIs on specific forms. Like I'm expecting, look at your market averages, your benchmark is public data, so you can literally Google it or ask a technology partner for a benchmark amongst other customers he has in your same industry. You think to yourself, okay, these should be my conversion rates on specific forms. These should be conversion rates on my checkout page, Then you look at your individual barriers and you give them a KPI. So instead of having a 2% conversion, by the end of this year, I want to go to a 2.4%. Don't immediately try to go to a 7, right? That's probably not sustainable. And if, for example, one of your barriers is that you have to, that you offer a shipping fee, maybe deleting the shipping fee is really bad for your margins and not the solution, even though it solves the barrier. Maybe just mentioning it earlier on your website or in store for home delivery is a better way to just earlier communicate with a customer. So his expectation is set from day one. All right, there's going to be a shipping fee, right? That's also a solution to a barrier. Then what you do is you make some changes, and not too many at the same time. You try and make 1 or 2 so you can measure the impact of individual changes. Ideally, you start some A/B testing tools if you're doing this for online purposes, and change your forms for 50% of your audience and leave a control group so you can actually see what your lead to cash ratings will be and how it differs when you apply your learning basically to these forms.
Got it. Thank you for that. And thank you, Carl, for the question. I'm going to go straight to the second question if I can. This is from someone called Stuart. Thank you, Stuart, very much indeed. Are any of the panelists exploring or know of brands that are exploring online levels on customer tracking in brick and mortar locations and using that data to inform online/bricks and mortar or vice versa, i.e. Google Analytics? And Jackson, you're nodding confidently over there. So I'm gonna put you on the spot and say, do you want to take that one?
Absolutely. I think this is a primary for what Lightspeed is trying to produce here at the moment as well. So a lot of our customers, a lot of the retailers in our space are exploring exactly this. And if we think back to a certain amount of years ago, we didn't have these digital presence, so we didn't have these customers. They didn't know about us, and they just weren't on our platforms. And now we have the opportunity to have them in the digital space and in the bricks and mortar space. And now it's about how we convert them and using the word like vice versa there. I might have a customer who's come into my store and they might live in, say, another country, but I want them to be a customer with us for future preference, and that might be online. So that's how we keep them there. And then let's say I've got, I'm located in London. I've got these big group of customers in London, but none of them are coming into my store. How do I find this? So we take simple and key information from them, such as like an email, and we can share the customer's profile from an in-store perspective and an online perspective, and we have these key stats. So it's always about converting those types of customers, which is super important. Those analytics are what's really driving the next sort of level of retail experience.
Anything to add, Ed or Anouk? Thank you, Jackson.
The online offline customer tracking is extremely difficult to pull off. The typical suggestion from the market is to have some sort of beacon technology within your store, and then you can tie through GA the online pre-visit connection with the customer to their beacon triggering the fact that they were in your store. It's okay. I mean, it doesn't, not everyone has got their GA enabled when they go into the store. They're not always logged in. It's really difficult. And again, the frequency of your visit. If I'm walking past your front door and don't actually go in, does the beacon pick me up? So that it is fraught. I would say I'd love to know, but yet to see a convincing argument from anyone that it can be done empirically.
Okay.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like for us, especially in the retail part of our business, obviously we don't own the stores. They're a big supermarket chains. They don't share this kind of data with us. And a lot of them are actually even further behind than us, right? They don't have that data to share in the first place. So we know little about who buys these products in store. We do know the segments and the types of products we make. What we do is we combine this with our B2B segment, where about 60% of all our customers in the B2B segment, so employees and guests in hotels that are drinking our coffee, they also own a coffee machine that's ours. What we're working on now is to make all of these 100% connected machines. So we have our own database that pings every consumption, every malfunction, like the hygiene levels, for example. Now we're testing with the plant-based milks, right? All the kind of stuff we are trying to sort out. And it will allow us to optimize our portfolio for business segments and different regions, depending on whether someone drinks coffee early morning in office or on a night shift in a hospital. You know, how quick does the machine have to make this coffee? What's the quality level they need? Is it espresso or standard lungo beans we need to put in, right? All this kind of data we use, and then we apply that to retail by offering these professional experiences to our retail audience to show them that we are really the thought leader of coffee, and you can have barista quality coffee at home just like they do in one of the 5-star hotels, right? So we try and match the two from that kind of data, but I think it would be very complicated. This is already such a big challenge for us. We still haven't really figured it out. We're working on it. And I think it's one of those things that a lot of brands, even when you have your own stores, to link the two, like Jack is saying, it's flawed. It's very, very difficult to do still today.
I think just the one way that you can be as a positive end to this is to segment your previous customers to new customers and target audiences. Previous customers, you can send communications. You can structure them to try and drive in-store visits. There can be incentives if your margin and your business model supports that. So there are some ways you can drive an online, offline type relationship, but measuring on the virgin territory of new customers is incredibly hard.
Yeah, it also comes down to the type of retailer. I think that's super important. If you're a stockist of 20 retail opportunities, then this becomes a harder process. But if you are your own brand and you're delivering your own product, this is where that starts to become a lot easier.
Hang on to that word positive, Ed, because I'm going to have a positive end to the session today as well, because we are getting near the end. Actually, 50 minutes have literally flown by in like what feels like 5, but that's a sign of some great content. Also, it's a big nod to you panelists. Our audience has actually got bigger since we started as well. So that's always a good sign that people aren't switching off. They're actually still joining us. So thank you. If you joined us a bit late, don't forget anything that you missed. You can catch up with the recording as well. I'm going to do a round robin of questions, and then it will be time to wrap it up. And focusing on that positive word that Ed mentioned, Jackson, I'm going to come to you for your last question. How do you ensure a positive environment for customers, you know, in that frictionless experience? Real focus on the positive.
Yeah, so this is a big question, but I think it applies to a lot of people at the moment. So it's around your consumer now. So it's the experience. I think everyone's looking for fewer clicks and looking to find a quick solution to get their product. So what you can do is by offering fewer clicks or providing a better opportunity or an experience from a customer, you're increasing their confidence and their trust in the retailer. And then you increase their purchasing power. So things like that we have these days, like click and collect, can go a long way. Just understanding the stock that you have in one location. So if we look at like things like apparel, I'll use a case that I buy. Like I'm quite a tall person, so finding something that's true to size for me can be very hard. So you know, I need to trust the retailer to know that is true fit, or it might be a longer, baggier fit. And you can do that all from their digital platform. It's super simple. And then I might go and check, hey, how many do they have in stock? Yes, they have enough in my size, my colors in stock. It's that ease and reliability that everyone's looking for. And you know, that's the way that you can translate that to your retailers.
Got it. Thank you, sir, for that, and thank you again for not only giving up your own personal time this morning, but for the support that Lightspeed's given to us as well. So appreciate it. Thank you for your time this morning. Ed, I'm going to roll the same question onto you, if that's all right. Give us some nuggets for a positive environment. What would your advice or shares be?
Yeah, I think if you, and this applies to your own teams internally, if you're clear about what you expect of everyone through their working day in terms of their engagement, the standards that you expect them to deliver to customers, you give them the tools to do that. Customers will see that because it will just be such a less painful. We've all had these painful experiences where, you know, Jackson mentions who's not had a terrible click and collect experience, but I've recently had two fantastic one with Wix, one with Holland and Barrett, and you get it and you're in and out the shop in nanoseconds and you think, oh my God, that was great. And it just sticks. And I've mentioned it here this morning because it just feeds on itself. So give people what they want as they need it through the journey. Think about it like a customer yourself. Engage your people and let everyone in your business know what the standards are that you expect of them and give them the tools to do it.
Thank you, sir. Again, for giving up your time this morning as well. It's always appreciated to kick off your day with the Retail Bulletin, and do come back and see us again sometime. Anouk, you're going to be the wrap, please. Let's just change the question slightly and give us some closing thoughts as we look forward to a frictionless customer experience future. What would your closing words be?
Well, to be completely frictionless as a business for your customers and deliver that, value excellence, as we like to call it, is extremely important. Obviously, Jackson has mentioned be real, be realistic, create that trust factor by not over promising, for example, same day delivery. When you see in your data your average delivery times is 48 hours, you know, then Ed plays beautifully onto that. Like, prep your teams. If we are expecting next day or same day delivery and it's not happening, but we're promising that to customers, check with all your teams why we're not fulfilling these promises and try and better your business processes in the future. And this will make our lives easier. In the end, you do see more smart and predictive chatbots coming into play, you know, in your likes of ChatGPT and AI development. Also AR development is really quite fast-paced at the moment. A lot of new players have gotten in. It's become way more affordable and approachable for also small businesses to start trialing with this. But there's a bit of the future there. But don't forget that the human interference factor will always remain. So what you do as a person, as a personal business, will become more and more important as we start automating our lives and journeys. If you feel personable, if you feel you've listened to your customer, that's really your future in value creation. You need to listen, you need to take note, and you need to show to your customers that you've applied their complaints, their feedback, and their questions to your business units and evolved as such. That's the most important key takeaway, I think.
So listen, take note, and demonstrate you've done something about it, basically, as well. Brilliant closing words. Thank you, Anouk, and thank you for giving up the time and being on the panel with us as well. That's a wrap, actually. 55 minutes have flown by. I just want to say thank you again to Jackson and Lightspeed, and to Ed and to Anouk for a brilliant opening session, which is taking a small break now. We'll be back at 10:30. Session 2 today, why digital first e-commerce strategy will enable retailers to meet that ever-evolving customer demand. So a real evolution on from what we've already talked about this morning. But thank you to 3 brilliant panelists. Thank you to our audience. We'll take a short break. See you at 10:30 and enjoy the rest of your day.